Good afternoon, America. It's the Prophet here, and this is what we're doing, the top 15 pound-for-pound boxers of all time. Our top 15 pound-for-pound boxers of all time. This list compiled by about 7 different people. We've come up with this list. I'm going to go ahead and run it down for you, then I'm going to give you a breakdown on each fighter. At number 15, we have George Foreman. At number 15, we have George Foreman. At number 14, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. At number 13, we have the mighty Atom, Jimmy Wild. At number 12, the old master, Joe Gans. At number 11, Roberto the Hands of Stone Duran. Gene Tunney. At number 10. At number 9, Sam Lankford. At number 8, Harry Greb. At number 7, Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. At number 6, Charlie Burley. At number 5, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Number 4, Willie Pep. At number 3, the greatest himself, Mr. Muhammad Ali. We'll leave number 2 and number 1 down to the last. As I stated before, we started with Big George Foreman. A lot of people, that was a debatable thing. Let's go over some of our honorable mentions first real quick. Sugar Ray Leonard was an honorable mention. 1980 Boxer of the Decade, a 36-3 record. The first fighter to ever earn over $100 million in his career. Also, our honorable mention was Marvelous Marvin Hagler, 62-3. Middleweight champion from September of 1980 to April of 87. Stanley Ketchel, man who lost to Jack Johnson and Sam Lankford. Okay, he was a middleweight. He lost to 2 heavyweights. He also murdered at the age of 24 with a 51-4 record. Carlos Monzon was another honorable mention. Jack Dempsey received honorable mention. Okay. Let's go through here and get our list, and let's see if we can break this on down for y'all a little bit. And George Foreman. Alright. Foreman's life and boxing career can easily be divided into 2 different parts. You got pre-Ali and post-Ali. Pre-Ali, Foreman would seem like he lacked charisma. He was almost machine-like in his destruction of Frazier and Norton. Like he fought like a lumberjack, just powerfully chopping away at people until he just, with ungodly power, till he sent them to the canvas. Now the post-Ali Foreman was immensely popular and very likable guy who became a beloved figure all across America. Secured many major endorsements. And after 10 years out of the sport, he returned once again to heavyweight glory by becoming the oldest heavyweight champion in history at the age of 45, when he defeated Michael Moore on November the 5th of 1994. Also waged a battle against a true warrior in Evander Holyfield, to go down in history. He had a record of 76-5 with 68 KOs. One of his losses was a KO, and that was to Muhammad Ali, of course, the Rumble in the Jungle. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., number 14. Widely considered the greatest Mexican boxer of all time and one of the best ever. He often catches criticism by fans for his in-between fights against notably weaker competition. What a lot of people understand is he got a lot of appearance fees to do that. He stayed active. He was more of the old-time boxer, but you can't take away the fact that this man fought all his mandatories, plain and simple. He's a 6-time world champion, and for several years was considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He holds the record for most successful title defenses at 27, most victories in world title fights at 31, most title fights fought at 37. He ran his record up to 87-0, and that's got an asterisk beside it, I know, until his draw with Pernell Whitaker, which many consider one of the biggest robberies in history of the sport, because they say Whitaker beat him. I think Whitaker beat him myself. He also holds the record for the largest attendance in a match ever at a little over 132,000 down in Azteca Stadium. And that's for his fight against Greg Haugen back in 1993. He ranks at number 16 on ESPN's list of greatest boxers of all time. They got a couple ahead of him that we actually got one ahead of him that we actually have as an honorable mention. That's Monzon. That's his one place ahead of him. His 12th career fight is the dubious extinction to that 87-0 start. It was originally ruled a knockout for him. Come at the end of the first round, he hit the guy at the bell. Then it was later changed to disqualification during the same night. And his manager, Mr. Ramon Felix, consulted with the Mexican Boxing Commission. The fight was against Miguel Ruiz, for a lot of people who don't know. And it was overturned the very next day and became a KO again for Chavez. So his record did go to 87-0. Now there are some people that still listed him at 11-1 after 12 fights, depending on where you went, and checked. And next we're going to get down to the mighty atom, Mr. Jimmy Wild. A lot of people, y'all don't even know who this guy is. He had explosive power in both hands, so much so that boxers of any era would be proud to have had it. I mean, he had a number of well-known bouts against Englishman Sid Smith, but was victorious on every occasion. He finished with a record of 132-3-1, okay, with 99 KOs. He fought all the way to the end. Lost his world flyweight title his last fight. He's considered by many to be the greatest flyweight of all time. All right. Next up, we got Joe Gans, the old master himself, the first African American to ever become a world champion, and is widely regarded as the greatest lightweight of all time, and one of the greatest lightweights of all time. A lot of people consider Duran to be the best ever at lightweight. Others consider even Chavez. I mean, he did this at a time when most boxers were brutes, and he was more of a thinker. Gans was. He really was. He compiled a record of 145-10-16 with 100 KOs. That's an unbelievable record when you sit and think about it. It truly is. An unbelievable record. Next, you come to Roberto Duran himself. He was named the 5th greatest fighter of the last 100 years by Ring Magazine, the 8th best of all time by Burt Sugar. He is one of only 2 boxers to have a career spanning 5 decades, the other being Jack Johnson. He debuted in 1968 and fought his last bout in 2001. I mean, he was a savage, a monster inside the ring, no doubt about it. A world champion in 4 divisions when it really meant something to be a champion in 4 divisions, guys. I mean, he really was. That's what he was. And number 10 is Gene Tunney. Compiled a record of 65-1-1. He retired as the heavyweight champion of the world. All right. He fought Harry Greb 4 times. Man, it's right ahead of him on the list. His draw and his loss came to Harry Greb. Alright? That's just, so when you can say that one of the top fighters of all time is your only defeat and your only loss, you got a place to stand. Gene Tunney at number 10, and at number 9 we have the Boston Tar Baby. That's right, the Boston Tar Baby, Mr. Samuel Langford. Hold on a second here. Sam is widely considered by many to be the greatest puncher there's ever been. Alright. He also was considered to be the greatest fighter that most people had never heard of. Voted on by ESPN actually, and Ring Magazine rates him the 2nd greatest puncher of all time and the 4th best heavyweight ever. So that's pretty good. But I mean, you got to think this guy started. He fought Joe Gans. He fought quite some time ago, and beat him in 1903. He beat Joe Gans. He compiled a record of 179-30-39, and he fought any and all. It didn't matter. He was actually ducked by Jack Johnson. Refused to fight him. So he carried the title of world colored heavyweight champion for quite some time. he always, most of his life, considered Gans to be the greatest fighter of all time, even though he defeated him in 1903. Okay, and at number 8, we have Mr. Greb, Harry Greb himself. Okay, the Pittsburgh Windmill. Carried a record of 107, 8-3 with 48 knockouts. Greb was known as the Pittsburgh Windmill due to his ability to throw punches in bunches, punches in flurries. He died at the age of 32, but still fought the third most fights in professional boxing history. But 298 times with 268 wins. But a lot of that was newspaper decisions, and his actual box rate numbers are 107, 8-3, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. He lost to Gene Tunney, for the light heavyweight title. He was a middleweight champion from 23 to 26. He was known for the fact that he would employ dirty tactics. He wasn't above it, which caught him one time when it actually got him blinded in one eye by an opponent. And he was a thinker back when thinking wasn't cool so much, Let's go around here to our number 7 guy, Mr. Joe Louis. Joe Louis is one of the titans of boxing, period, plain and simple, guys. He became an American hero for his rise from a poor family of 8 children to an international superstar, plain and simple. He was the first megastar we ever had when boxing was arguably the most popular sport in the world. He was an international superstar, okay? His first major bout came against Max Baer, and Baer had just killed a man in the ring when this fight happened, but Louis stepped in there and knocked him out in the 4th round. His first loss came to Smelling. A lot of people know about that. Actually, he only had 3 losses. Of 66-3 was his record, 52 KOs. He lost to Smelling, Ezra Charles, and Marciano. Marciano's not on this list. He was an honorable mention, but he isn't on the list. He became world champ in 37, beat Smelling in a rematch in what's considered the fight of the decade 2 years after the first meeting. He regained the heavyweight championship until he retired, holding the position for over 11 years, defending his title 25 times, and it still stands as a record among all divisions today. Plain and simple. Our number 6 guy is one Mr. Charlie Burley. And a lot of people don't know who Charlie Burley is. Let me explain to you who he is, guys. Alright. He was Floyd Mayweather before Floyd Mayweather, really. He compiled a record of 83, 12-2 with 1 no contest, and he had 50 knockouts, okay? And they say during his 12, he needed money so bad that some of them fights in the 12 losses he dumped. Ezra Charles beat him twice, I believe, by decision, 2 10-round decisions. Burley fought at welterweight and middleweight from 36 to 50. He was the holder of both the World Color Welterweight and Middleweight Championship of the World. Archie Moore, longtime heavyweight champion, was defeated by Burley and called him the greatest fighter of all time. August 22nd, 1938, he defeated the Coco Kid for the World Color Welterweight title with a 15-round unanimous decision, which he knocked the Kid down 3 times. He beat Holman Williams for the Color Middleweight title and lost in a rematch in which Jack Kincaid of the Times-Picayune of New Orleans said that Burley easily won 9 of the 15 rounds. He was never given the world title shot and often considered to have been ducked by Hall of Famers Billy Conn and, of course, what many consider the greatest of all time, Sugar Ray Robinson. Burley won 2 out of 3 matches against future welterweight champion Fritzy Zevik. He also defeated Archie Moore. As I stated before, he faced future Hall of Famer Ezra Charles, but dropped 2 10-round decisions to him. Another notable fight when he fought heavyweight contender J.D. Turner, who outweighed him by almost 70 pounds, only to be TKO'd inside of 7 by Charlie Burley. Eddie Futch called him the best fighter the world ever saw. We have him at number 6. Number 5, and this is going to be something that's going to bring up some debate, I know, guys, but I promise you when his career's looked back on in 10 to 15 years, this number is not going to be that outrageous. And number 5, we got Floyd Mayweather Jr. Born in 77, this guy